Hello everybody and welcome back to our channel. Today we'll be reviewing the 11 kitchen composition. It's super customizable in all its dimensions and finishes. Very peculiar choices for materials and accessories. Let's dive in. As we said in other reviews, this is a review of this specific composition, and we have literally millions of composition that we can create through the relation between the client and an interior designer. Just to give you an idea, this composition is 322 on the left side by 364 on the right side. We have an height here of 264, so you can see that the upper cabinets, hanging cabinets are especially high. And we have varying depths because we have a standard depth of 62 centimeters on the left side and a depth of 72 centimeters on the right side. And personally, I do like this approach where you don't stick to a single depth, and based on your room, of course, but also based on the needs that you think you might have in using your kitchen, you can differentiate, and you might have one side with the standard depth and the other side with an increased depth. The 11 collection is actually made up by two different doors, because we have a plain door which can be opened through a standard L-shaped rounded grip on the back here. And here we chose that the columns and the base units would have the plain door with the grip. And then you have the framed door, which here we chose to have on the upper cabinets. You have, let's talk about materials. You have a huge variety of options for the materials of the plain doors, because they can be in laminate, they can be lacquered, they can be in wood, all sorts of materials and finishes inside a certain category. While here with this framed door, this is available only with a MDF structure, and thus you can only have matte lacquer. So it's a bit more limited, but still, by putting together the plain doors and the frame doors, you have many options. Let's review the single elements which make up this composition, and we start with the fridge column. This is a very specific fridge column because it is 75 centimeters wide. Most often with built-in appliances you have the 60 centimeters width. Here you have 75 total, and this makes for a huge refrigerator inside. It is bigger by 45% in comparison to a standard refrigerator. And so you have, well, of course, the freezer down below and the fridge above, and much storage space on in the upper part. Then of course, here we have a grip, okay, the vertical grip. Just like here you have the horizontal one, here it is indeed vertical. Then you have this sliding column with these drawers, 7 trays, I would say. And then you have additional storage space above. Of course, with this this is 30 centimeters, it is indeed heavy. So when you actually close it and open it, and if I imagine it to be filled with all your stuff, it is indeed heavy, but it's not something I would not put the salt inside this. It's actually a sliding pantry, and of course it is very convenient in the sense that when you pull it out, of course you can perceive everything that you have on these trays, and you would not enjoy the same practical use if you simply have the shelves, because with shelves, of course, you have the objects in front that hinder you from taking something in the back. It is actually also an expensive accessory, but in a big, nice design kitchen like this, it is indeed very practical. Then we move on. Here we have the dishwasher, okay. Then we have the sink unit. Well, of course, you can customize. Here we chose to have it with doors to keep the vertical lines that we had here and there on the side, but in a different composition you could have drawers underneath. It's just a matter of taste from a certain point of view, but also a matter of coordinating properly your own composition. Then we move on to the corner element. This corner element is 124 by 64, and it has these very nice sliding trays. These are very practical. These sort of mechanisms, you can have them, well, you can have them on corners, and corners there are basically 3 dimensions on every model, not only on the 11 kitchen. You have 94, 95, 104, 105, 124, 125, depending on the model. If there might be a 1 centimeter variation, but the point is that on the smaller corners, you simply cannot have these sort of mechanisms. On the middle or bigger corner units, you can improve the experience by adding this sort of accessories. And then once you get to evaluate these sort of accessories, there are multiple types. There are those who are made with metal grills. Here you have a laminate with a rubber finish as the rounded shelf, and as you have this nice metal edge, which makes it possible that a certain object will not fall inside the base itself. Here we see a design approach I very much like, which is that of a corner composition, which has the upper cabinets only on one side. And here in the showroom we have this laminate wood finish panel. But for example, in a real room, here you could have a window and you could have the sink base in front of the window. Well, you would just need to use a special collapsible sink so that you can properly open the windows. And but also, if let's assume that I have my window in another part of the room, well, I would like it to keep it open like this, and here I could have my pictures, I could have a big nice clock on the wall. So it's something, it's a bit a traditional approach, I would say, a traditional approach to have a corner kitchen composition and still to have the hanging cabinets on both sides. This is of course lighter in perception. So here we start with a filler, which is used normally when you have a situation like this. We said that the corner is 124 by 64. So normally when you have a situation like this and you don't have a back panel, here you have a cabinet with 60 centimeters, and here you have a 4 centimeters filler. In this case, since we have a 2 centimeters panel, we have a 2 centimeters filler, so 60 plus 2 plus 2, 64. And here we see the scolapiatti, which is the hanging cabinet with the rails for dishes and glasses to be placed there to be dried slowly if they don't come out dry from the washing machine. And here we can appreciate the fact of this giant 120 by 120 centimeters hanging cabinet, which goes up to 264. To give you an idea, the most used height in kitchens is 240, okay, which means an hanging cabinet of 96, 100, while in this case we get up to 264, as we said. And we can get to see this detail because you see these are very big doors with a built like this, with this I told you it's a framed door, but you can perceive that you don't perceive the frame from the back because it's an MDF door. And with such a dimension, in time, also depending on humidity, you could have a phenomenon of the door slightly curving based on time and humidity. And of course that would be an issue, but with this sort of adjustment you can keep it straight and perfect. So this is the use of this simple yet effective mechanism. Then we move on with the hob base, and we have these big 120 centimeters doors with their inner lighting, which turns on when you open the door. I very much like the lighting inside. Do you like lighting inside of furniture? Do you think it's practical? Write it in the comments. Then we have the upper cabinets above the hob and above the hood, and we have a hood missing. Where's the hood gone? I'll tell you in a minute. And here we can appreciate how these very high hanging cabinets have 3 shelves inside, so for a total of 4 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4. And of course I need a stool, something to get up there, a little step, couple of steps, but of course you will place there those items that you don't use that often. Then we move on with a 60 centimeters drawer unit, where I can have my cutlery, and down below another big drawer, and above I have a very, well, this is identical to the previous ones. And then we get to the final column where we have again storage. We have the oven in this case, this beautiful Neff appliance with the sliding door. I love it. It's very practical and amazing. And here we have, yet again, much storage. So a kitchen composition with a very high capacity in terms of storage. And let's dive into the accessories. Just a minute ago, I made the joke about that we had a hood missing. And here we have a very interesting aspect, a very interesting feature, which is this glass back panel. It is completely custom made, of course, in dimension and custom made in terms of color, because we did coordinate the RAL color of this back panel with the RAL color of the top of this table, just like we did coordinate the RAL color of this door together with the RAL color of the metal of the legs of the table. This is what we love in terms about interior design, that you start sourcing items, sourcing collections from different partner factories, but then working together with these partner factories, we tend to coordinate everything for a room which you can perceive yours, because it's perfectly well coordinated. So back to the panel, completely custom made, and here we find the hood. Here it is, the hood built in into the back panel. It is very narrow. The appliance is made by Falmec. It works flawlessly and it is very effective in absorbing all the vapors. Now it is started. You might probably perceive it. And well, it is very convenient in terms of cleaning, and also for the fact that it leaves the upper cabinets completely empty, and so you can easily use them to keep all your stuff. And another feature about this back panel, it is that it uses the magneto system, and you have these accessories which have quite strong magnets on the back. And so let's assume that I want to use this tray for a tablet to read the recipe. Well, I might say, okay, I want it here, but at some point I could decide, oh, I want to place it here. And in this case, I can move these with the cleaning paper and place it here. So you see how convenient it is, and I can place accessories anywhere. I can tell you the system in itself, it's a costly accessories, but it is indeed beautiful and very flexible, especially if you compare it to the standard metal chromed bars that you drill onto the wall or onto the tiles, and then you attach all the accessories that you might use for the cleaning paper or for a trays like this. Of course, this is a tray, okay? And you can imagine how flexible it is. A note about materials: we said we can have the plain doors in multiple options. Here we see matte lacquer, vanille color, okay? We have the grip is the color champagne, okay? It has this golden soft feel, okay? This is the top. I especially like it. It's called Decton. It's a quartz-based, basically synthetic stone material, quartz-based, and I do like it because you don't perceive it as being an artificial material. You perceive it like a natural stone. It's very realistic in terms of both in terms of touch and both in terms of looks. This is the finish here. It's called Awake Glossy. The brand is Decton, and we collaborate with this. We source the material from Decton. And about the top, here you can perceive the 62 centimeters depth here and the 72 centimeters depth here. You don't perceive it straight away here because the back panel does take up a few centimeters, okay? So it would be deeper if you didn't use this back panel. And here I especially like the sink, which is built into the Decton kitchen top, and it has the same finish. You know, with a situation like this, you could have a stainless steel top attached from underneath, okay, and it has a very nice look. I find it practical as well. But here you have this squared steel sink, which is covered with the Decton finish, and then they're actually fused together here at the seams, at the edge, and you have this beautiful perception. I must agree that without rounded corners, but with these square corners, possibly cleaning it in the very tiny sections of the corners, it might be a bit more demanding, but the looks are astounding. So we have come to the end of today's product review about the 11 kitchen composition, with this very rich composition filled with many details about accessories, the decked on top, the hidden hood. I hope that you like it, and see you next time.